everyone, it's Laura from Laura's Handcrafted Treats and Treasures. Welcome to or back to my channel. Alright, I am here with project number 5 in my Christmas tree gift series for 2025. And again, I'm using Miss Carolyn's papers. This is from the new one, Quilted, what was the name of that? Quilted Noel. I think it was the blue kit. And these are little milk cartons. Now this isn't anything new, but maybe you haven't seen it before, but you can put your little treats in there. And then the way I've done that is I can put that underneath. I propped it up on a foam piece. Oh, my bow wasn't dry and I'm moving it around. Might have to hot glue that one on. And then, yeah, you can make little treats. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. All right, let's get started. I'm gonna leave those right there for you if you need to take a little snapshot of them. And then we're gonna get started and I'm gonna give you the directions. All right, so as you can see, we have bottoms and they're cut at 2 and 7/16. I'm sorry, not 2. 7 and 7/16 by 7 and 7/16. I've got 2 of them ready to go. We're going to score all sides at 2.5. The 7/16 matter. If you don't do this right, your lid's not going to fit. Even on this one, you can see there's a little bit of a gap, but I wasn't concerned with that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get these in here. And we're going to score at 2.5, all 4 sides. Okay, and then once we are done with that, we're going to fold and burnish these edges. So if you don't know what burnishing is, it's just taking your bone folder and getting them scored down there really nice. Okay. All right, we're gonna get that done. I'm gonna do the whole bottom before I move to the top because there's some steps there we don't want to miss. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut up, and you see this beveled edge here. I talk about this all the time. I'm going to cut on this side up, and then I'm gonna go in from this side and take a little corner out. And the reason we do this, if I can grab a hold of it, can't get the scissors out of my hands now. The reason we do this is that when we fold it in like that, we don't want this to impede the bottom, which it looks like I probably should take a little smidgen more. And it's going to be at the bottom, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if your whole box is perfect. And then you're going to, so we did this one, and then you're going to turn and follow the same process. And cut all those sides down. Okay, once you're done with that, I'm going to move this one aside and bring this one in because I have it done. Once you're done with that, you're going to go and take off a little smidgen. You can take it further in if you want. I left it a little bit longer. You just don't want it as long as this when you get ready to fold it up, okay? And then it's just as simple as gluing the 4 sides. And I always try to get to the edge here because that is where, you're going to butt that up to the edge. So I like to make sure that's nice and secure. And then just a little bit there. And then I'm going to line it up. And then press it down. However that works for you. Okay. I'm going to take my next edge. Again, I'm going to go down close to the edge. And we don't need tons and tons of glue there, so we're going to do that. And I'm going to line it up. Okay? And you're going to do that until you're all the way around, and you end up with your box. Okay, I put that on there to get that glued down. All right, so let's move on to the lid, and hopefully this video won't be super, super long. Let me find my pin, get it back on my glue. Okay, for the lid, it's going to be 10.5 by 3. And remember your patterns. However, if it's non-directional, which this one isn't, just remember when you're cutting your patterns, make sure your pattern ends up on the long side, the 10.5. So we're going to put that on the 10.5 for scoring, and we're going to score at 2.5, 5, 7.5, and 10. Okay, then we're going to turn it. So I've got it on the 10. Then we're going to turn our piece to the 3-inch side, and we are going to score at 1 inch, and we're going to score at 2.5. Okay, so we don't need the scoreboard anymore. Let's get that out of our way. Again, we're going to fold and burnish. Now, at this point too, I have gone through and inked my edges. I didn't like the stark white. I did the same thing with this, with gray, but then I ended up putting some ribbon around it. But I do like to ink my edges. And sometimes I ink on the inside too, just depending, you know, if I think you're going to see it, you know, when you turn it this way. But I try to get like in here really good, just to finish it off, especially on the top. You know, I don't want to see a bunch of stark white when I get ready to pinch that together. All right, let's move on. So for this one, we're going to need some score tape, and the score tape works better. Where's my, is it that one? I gotta get some more. The score tape works better than glue. I have done this with glue, and I'm just telling you, if you can do the score tape, do the score tape. I did find this red line tape at Hobby Lobby in their recollections, and I just used it on a project where I was putting acetate windows together, and it seemed to work pretty well. So, you know, that red line tape was always so expensive. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is this part here, I'm going to add my tape to, and I'm going to add it all across there. In fact, I've already got tape already done here, so I'm just going to follow this same rule. So I'm going to follow tape across. Oh, see, good thing I looked at that. Another thing you want to do is just miter these edges a little bit. It just gives it a little bit of a cleaner look. And I'm just gonna, I don't think you're gonna see these, but I'm gonna go ahead and ink them up anyway. All right, now I'm going to put my score tape on, and I'm just gonna put it right to the edge. Now you can cut, or another way to use your score tape is I have a block with more of like a sharp edge, so a lot of times I do that. All right, so we have the score tape on, and then on the, that ended up on the other side. All right, so this is the short side. Okay, so I'm not going to look at that because I want to put it in, basically I'm going to call this number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. And you can't really see. Sometimes I do this, so that way I can just get that one panel there. And you'll see why this is gonna be necessary. Also, I like to do, you could do 2 and 4, but I like to do 1 and 3 close to the short edge that I already did. So I'm just gonna kind of look at that one, and I feel it. It's right there. So I'm going to get that on, okay? And rip that. All right, then what we're going to want to do is along the long edge from here to here, you're going to want to put a long strip of score tape. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do, now you could go through, there's a process where you would like make your little indents from here to here that makes it fold a little bit better, but I don't think it's necessary. I have found that I can do it just fine this way. So you're going to pull that little end off, and then you're just going to line that up and get that stuck down. And then you have this. So see, I have my edges over here. This is my back, and then I still have my inside. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm just going to start pinching these in, and this is the reason, hence the score marks from side to side. It just kind of helps that process, but honestly, I think if you just manipulate it well enough and kind of get your edge to your edge and your edge to your edge, I think it works just fine. And I don't think I have to go through all the extra steps. Right? Okay. Now, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to pull this middle piece, this inside piece off before this. Because if you do these first, it's going to be hard for you to get those off of there. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab my pokey tool. And then I'm just going to start over at this edge here, up underneath there. It will come out. It's stuck right now because I did the other one. But I'm going to start getting that out of there. Okay, see? And I'm going to get that out of there. Boom. Okay. But it was important to do the pinches first because you want to make sure you get those right before you commit to doing this. Okay, I'm going to get those stuck down. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and pull our edges out. So if you can see in there, I'm just going to grab that and I'm going to get that out of there and then pinch that down. And you see how I'm lining up the top, and you see why I do the inking on it. Then I'm going to come in here on this side and I'm going to grab that tape to release it, and then I'm going to do that. So if I have done this right, this should fit on this box as well as the box I'm getting ready to finish off. And then sometimes I have found, is that my back side? This box might have been a little bit big, but I'm going to pinch it in there because it will go. But see, if I hadn't even done the 1/16 of an inch, there we go, I wouldn't have even been able to do that. So, all right, I am going to finish gluing this box together, the box it's supposed to go on, and then make sure you get those to the inside. And then I will come back and we'll do a little bit of decorating. All right, I have all of the boxes done. These ones were a little bit of a looser fit, so not sure why that was, but they were just a little bit loose. So, but that's not a big deal to me. At least you don't have to struggle to get them on and off. And, you know, if you just lift them from here, they're fine. This one you could pick up this way. Anyhow, I've gotten a few things out. So I'm going to be putting the Grinch, because I love the Grinch, right here. And then I'll be doing a bow. So I'm going to be using this color for that. And then I'm going to be using Deck the Halls for this one. And then I'm going to be using this ribbon for this one. But I'm going to show you on this one how I'm going to be incorporating them. On the Deck the Halls one, I wanted to show you, I used my square, like scalloped edge die cut, but it was, I didn't really want it so wide, and this one obviously wasn't big enough. So what I did was I ran it through the first time, and then this is just a little tip for you, and then I just put it back on the die, but I moved it down one, and then I secured it here. So when I run it back through, I'm getting the actual, you know, a little bit of a better size that I wanted. So just a little tip for you. I've done that several times. And then on this one, I've used my scalloped circle die. So I have different circle dies and different punches for different sizes that I'm trying to achieve. All right, let's get this glued down. And let's see if I can see it from here. It's always hard when you're kind of leaning down, like you can't really get a good position on it. But it's going to be good enough. Okay, so we've got that. And now I have made a bow for the top of it. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to look for where my back, I'm considering this my back. And I'm going to actually line up my ribbon. I'm going to make sure it goes all the way around because I am running out. And I'm going to get a clean edge on this one. And I'm just literally going to, where's my back? Okay, I'm going to start here. So I'm going to start here. And all I'm going to do is just throw some glue on here and wrap it around. You could use score tape for this. That probably would work quicker. For sure it would work quicker. But you're going to go ahead and just press that. But because I use art glitter glue, obviously this glue works a lot, you know, works very quick too. So I'm just going to run it along there where I think it's going to land, and I'm just going to continue to wrap that. You don't have to like pull it and strain on it. You just have to get it into position and press it down. All right, I'll continue that. Just to give it a little bit more pizzazz, dress them up a little bit more. You can leave them exactly like they are, especially if you did a bunch of these for like school or Sunday school. You know, you could even use different papers, scrapbook papers, and make a bunch of these. Okay, and then I am going to bring this around, and I have just enough of this. I am gonna snip it here, but I'm gonna bring it back around to this side to finish it off. Okay, so we have that done. And like I said, you might have to hold that for a minute. And then I'm going to go ahead and slip this back on. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put this on first. So now the way I did this was I used a foam. I used some of the foam tape to tape it up. So I know the foam tape has to stay down in this area. So I'm just trying to line it up. And then I think what I did was I did one this way, and I did one this way, because you can't put the whole thing down or you can't get your lid on and off of there. And then I just laid it down and kind of eyeballed it. Whoop, get off there. Not ready yet. Okay, and I just laid it down. Took my lid off, pressed it from the inside, put my lid back on. Where's my back side? Over here. And then if you tuck this right up underneath of there, as you can see, it goes just perfectly. And then I took my glue and I'm gonna, you could hot glue these on too to make it quicker, but I'm just gonna use my art glitter glue. And then I'm gonna throw this up here. And then I'm gonna use one of my little clips here to keep that on until the glue dries. Not my thumb, just the ribbon. All right, and then I'm gonna do the same thing that I just did on these. And then I just wanna show you, which I've showed many times, but I have new subscribers. So I thought I would show this again, the bunny ears. So I just take my ribbon, and I always leave this tail a little bit shorter because it's gonna get pulled out anyway. And then I take my bunny ears, I wrap the left to the right, underneath and through the bunny hole. Oh, I gotta make it a little bit bigger. I'm always trying to conserve as much of my ribbon as possible, although Lord knows I'm not going to run out. All right, so let's do that again. I'm gonna wrap it through the bunny hole. Now, as you can see, I'm gonna pull this. As you can see, this one is on the outside and this one is on the outside. This is the one I'm gonna turn. And as I'm starting to tighten this, I'm gonna turn this because I want that gold part on the outside. So I'm gonna pull these in, and every time you pull them, they get long again. So I'm gonna pull that and pull that one again, and it's getting pretty tight. Straighten that out, straighten this out, and give that just a little bit more, and then there you go. And then I'll just take a pencil and just start to kind of wiggle them. In fact, this one I want a little bit shorter. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna finish off the rest of the boxes, and then we'll come back and show you the final product and talk about some things that you can put in there. I'll be back. Okay, everyone, here they are. So if you can get a good look at them, they came out great. I did switch this one up a little bit, and I was gonna put this ribbon on it, but just the ribbon across was better because it was just covering up too much of the cute coffee cup that was there. So what can you put in these? You can put anything. You could put some kisses, some Hershey Kisses. You can put some of the Hershey Minis, and you can you can fit quite a bit in here. You could put like the individual Reese's peanut butter cups. You could probably put about maybe 4 or 5 of them in there. You could put the York peppermint patties. You could get the little goodie bags, and you could fill them for the littler ones like fishy crackers or trail mix, maybe a little bag of popcorn. But yeah, you can get quite a bit in there, and they just make a great little gift for Christmas. So I hope you found this inspirational, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.